This video kind of just serves as a PSA to anyone who hasn't read any of the books for the Absolute Universe or just thinks that the entire universe is just edgy slop. If you're curious about it, spare me a couple minutes of your time and hear me out. And if you've already read the books or at least Absolute Superman, I'd still appreciate you watching the video. Speaking personally, I think one of the best ways to judge a comic book story with superheroes in it is to judge the world by their Superman, because we all know Superman is the gold standard for comic book heroes. You might have a personal favorite hero with their own fantastic stories where they display great showings of heroism, sure, but Superman is objectively the pillar of modern day superheroes. And when you look at stories like The Boys, for example, and see a character like Homelander, whether it be from the show or the comic book, you see a man with all the godlike powers of the Man of Tomorrow, but without his heart. Nothing more than a test tube man-child that is nothing but a schoolyard bully down to his core. And as the pillar of the quote-unquote heroes in his universe, as such, you see a very dark and cynical world with many of the Earth's protectors just being more of the same, bullies and abusers, cold and uncaring monsters where saving and protecting citizens is an annoying part of their lives to secure their own personal fame and status in the world, and wouldn't hesitate at all hurting or taking out innocent people if they stood to gain something for themselves. Many other stories have similar circumstances too, like Omni-Man at the beginning of Invincible, Brandon from Brightburn, the Plutonian from Irredeemable, and even many alternate versions of Superman himself, most famously in Justice Superman, where he becomes a tyrant and rules the world with an iron fist after the death of his family, making that alternate DC universe a much darker place. Many different stories and universes have their storylines and tones set by the actions that their Superman takes, and it makes me so happy to say that the Absolute Universe created possibly one of the greatest alternate versions of Superman I've ever seen, despite being the Superman that was literally created by Darkseid in a universe that literally has hope diminished by design. It has been a long time since I've seen an alternate version of Superman that truly captures all the best virtues of the original Man of Tomorrow, even though he has the blueprint of being just another evil or morally gray Superman. Like, instead of being a baby sent to Earth, he was actually raised by his birth parents and was forced to watch them die as Krypton blew up, was stuck in space in complete isolation for months after witnessing such a traumatic and tragic event, crash lands on the Kent farm and seemingly makes the pivotal connection with Martha and John and was going to live as their adopted son, just for Lazarus Corp led by Ra's al Ghul of this universe to storm the farm, beat John Kent, and start attacking him. He rightly starts defending himself, but he lashes out so hard with his strength that he ends up scaring the Kents and has no choice but to spend the next couple of years roaming from place to place, seeing all the horrors and oppression the citizens of the world face while being ruled over by the upper class and wealthy, while he himself is constantly on the run because he is always being hunted by Lazarus Corp. That on its own would be more than enough for most people to spiral towards a darker path just from the compounding traumatic events stacking on top of each other. And for an alternate Superman story, this generally does sound like the setup before Superman finally snaps and begins abusing his powers and starts enforcing his own brand of cruel justice and authority throughout the world. And that's what makes the story so amazing, because he doesn't. Every time you think he's going to pivot to the dark, he continually chooses to do the right thing. And I know it might sound kind of silly to say, like, oh man, Superman chooses to do the right thing, how original. Like, I get it. But when there are so many stories of these darker iterations of the Superman archetype, I can't help but be genuinely happy this man does not become some dollar store dark Superman. Because this version of Kal-El watched his parents stand their ground against the corruption of Krypton's government during the planet's final days. He watched his parents stand up for truth and justice and literally attempts to save dozens of innocent Kryptonians before the planet finally explodes. So for Absolute Superman to ever walk the path of an anti-hero, morally gray character, or straight up a villain would be a slap in the face of all that his parents had taught him. Everything that they stood for while facing death, it would make their sacrifice literally all for naught. Like, to show just how strong his conviction is, Absolute Superman eventually got captured and was tortured by Absolute Brainiac, and Brainiac essentially trapped him in an eternal nightmare where he was trying to break Absolute Superman's mind into becoming a monster. In this brainwashing nightmare, Brainiac forced Kal-El to kill millions of people on loop 575 times and was planning on continuing the process till they hit 3,000. Like, even with the most conservative interpretation, that is still being conditioned into killing billions upon billions of people as a weapon of mass destruction. And he endured this kind of torture for 2 straight weeks, and yet he still doesn't break. He's angry, sure, frustrated at the monsters who tried making him into an attack dog and constantly are abusing and killing innocent people, but he never crosses the line. And that to me is genuinely so inspiring. No matter how messed up this twisted universe is, a universe literally designed to have significantly less hope than the main DC universe, it says a lot that this Superman, despite all that trauma and abuse he's had to endure, refuses to become the same kind of monsters that tortured him, the same kind of oppressive rulers that attacked his parents and forced them to live as second-class citizens, the same kind of bullies in power that attacked the Kents. And some of the things that he does in this universe speaks to me so much. Only a few comic book stories can actually make me feel such strong emotions. A soldier who just a few moments ago was trying to kill Superman gets his life saved by him when he is about to face death. Absolute Ra's al Ghul, one of the tyrants along with Brainiac that tried to turn this man into a weapon, is visited in his jail cell by Superman after being apprehended by him, and Superman spends every day for weeks reading him the poems and prayers of the children that were left as orphans because of Ra's al Ghul's cruelty, ripping their parents away from them, in hopes of rehabilitating this monster. The Superman villain known as Toyman in this universe is a CEO who literally made their money off the backs of child labor and faced no consequences when those children died in the factories they were forced to work under. And Absolute Superman pulls up on him and shuts that shit down immediately and lets Toyman know that all that money he's accumulated will be dispersed to his abused workers and that he will stop the forced child labor or he will be back. In his battle against Absolute King Shazam, their fight rages across the entire planet, causing disasters all over, with multiple people caught in the crossfire. But not a single person dies, because Absolute Superman, in the middle of fighting someone even stronger than himself, is able to save all the innocent people caught in the crossfire. And my personal favorite, a little girl with a cancer-ridden body, has no family and is scared of dying just staring at a ceiling alone, just for Absolute Superman to show her beautiful sights around the world before she finally passes, and then screams in pain, mourning her death when she's finally gone. This story is so refreshing because it is so incredibly easy nowadays to make these dark alternate versions of Superman and shell them out to audiences. So easy to see someone with all that power treat people like cardboard and will rip them apart without a second thought. And I'm not saying that the wider elements of some of these stories can't be entertaining in some form or fashion, but specifically when it comes to Superman, the concept of just dangling a dark Superman in front of readers and escalating the amount of violence and destruction they can dish out onto the rest of the world, with many innocent people suffering just from the fallout, has become incredibly dull in my eyes, and I just want nothing of it right now. Like, I don't know about you, but I'd rather read a Superman story where in the face of possible death, his final wishes are for his friends to go out into the world and take care of the people, animals, and places he's been tending to. Like an elderly person needing their medicine delivered to them, or their gardens needing to be tended to, or giving children vaccines in places of poverty and gifting them stories. Like, come on, man. His final will and testament, his last wishes before dying in battle, and it's still focused on just saving the innocent people around him, not one wish for himself. Like, this is the one moment in someone's life when they are encouraged to make a selfless request, but he still focuses on those that need his help rather than himself. I truly don't care how cheesy it may come across. I'll take this kind of Superman any day of the week over that dark, edgy slop. A Superman who can thrive in a universe almost absent of hope and is able to spread it throughout the world after suffering so much hardship and pain himself is genuinely a beautiful take on the character. So many stories where a character's deplorable actions are justified because they suffered and are in grief and are just lashing out as a response to that pain has been done on so many occasions. And some of those stories can be good, but just seeing a guy stand his ground and staunchly refuse to ever turn to the dark side despite living through some of the most traumatic events a fictional character can go through is kind of badass to me in its own way. Please go read Absolute Superman if you haven't already. I hope you have a great day, and please stay safe. Peace.